The following podcast contains spoilers for Infinity War. Do not listen to this podcast if you have not seen Infinity War.
This is the Buntarelli Show.
All right, the moment we've been waiting for. We've been talking about this for the last few months on this show. Funny story about this. Me and Paul caught a late showing, and I knew I had stuff to do in the morning, and me and Paul were chomping at the bit to start talking about it that night. I said, you know what, Paul? I got stuff to do in the morning, so I need to, get a good night's sleep. And we fist bumped. Paul went on his way. I went into bed, and I was staring at the ceiling for an hour.
Yeah.
Because this movie was intense. Like, I just was like, what the heck did I just watch?
You can't just leave after this. Nothing will be right with you after you watch this movie. You're just like, I want more. Like, I have to wait another year before I get anything else now?
I did not see it going the way it went. It was intense. Now, it was intense from the beginning. I mean, this thing started and already you open with Thanos kicking the out of people.
Immediately, like, Loki's dead, everyone else is going to die. Who's next?
Now, I've said that Loki's story needed to wrap up because he's been good, he's been bad, he's been good.
Yeah.
And not that I was getting tired of it. I just didn't know if audiences were going to keep buying it.
Yeah. Well, he was people liked him because, yes, he's a villain, but you understand his reasons for doing things.
Yeah.
And in this, he had a great opportunity to die the hero. And he did, and now everyone will say he was a pretty good dude.
And it also wrapped up the Avengers story arc, because Avengers started with Loki on his mission for Thanos. So this was kind of like, even though all this other stuff has happened since Avengers 1 and 2, that kind of like put a wrap on the full circle kind of the Avengers before you start moving forward. And it really got... Now, we're talking about the Loki scene, and I have a question, because you might have caught it and I didn't, and I'm not sure. Is all of Asgard dead? Did anybody escape that? Did they say anybody escaped?
I believe that Asgard was blow up during Ragnarok. And in Ragnarok, everyone goes on that ship and go to Earth. And I guess the ship blew up, and Thor's the only one left, and Banner.
That's right. Okay,
but I don't... Possible...
Somebody might have escaped before. Yeah, I'm not sure, because they show just the end of the battle. That's why I wasn't sure, because I was in the comics. They have this thing where the people of Asgard, they went to Oklahoma or something, kind of like along the same story. Like, I didn't know if they were going that way, because remember when Odin said, "Remember this place." Yeah. I thought that was a foreshadowing. Like, this is where I want you to take the Asgard people. So if Asgard's gone, that's crazy.
Oh, no, because they were saying during Ragnarok, Asgard isn't a place; it's a people.
Yes.
So I think all the named characters have been dealt with. Heimdall, dead. Loki, dead. Hulk on Earth. I guess maybe that like angel woman or like the Valkyrie, but I assume she's dead.
That's the person I was going to ask about. I didn't catch Valkyrie. And I'm wondering, because she looked like she would go somewhere down the road. It would seem like, but you know what? You can't say waste or not, because you don't know where this is going moving forward. But I never saw any signs of her body or nothing. And you would think they would make a point of that.
Minor character in another movie, but I feel like that is a loose end that they do have a good chance of grabbing at later.
Because the Guardians do kind of zip in on like the stress calls from that Asgardian ship, which makes you wonder if anybody escaped, which we might find out later. I don't know if there's going to be a Thor sequel or what, but that might be addressed later.
Thor's alive, so... No,
Thor is, yeah.
So Thor, another movie is probably going to happen. I bet one more Thor movie and they'll be good.
Hulk. So Hulk, because Hulk his thing he's kind of where he is pretty early in the movie, so we could address this. But I think first I was wondering, when I initially saw the trailers, somebody had brought it to my attention that was Banner in the Iron Man suit. And it made total sense to me. But what I thought in my head was, and even the guy who told me, he goes, no, it's Banner in there because Banner's afraid of turning into the Hulk. Which, ironically, isn't what happened. The Hulk was afraid of turning into Hulk.
Oh, yeah, because Hulk immediately got his ass beat.
I think that, and I think, that's what I was thinking. I think it was that, and I think it was also, I think he got shook up from getting shot to Earth.
Well, yeah, and he got just annihilated by Thanos. Like, let him have his fun.
Thanos knocked him out.
Yeah, and he was, like, full fighting him. It wasn't even just, like, throwing punches. No, I'm just going to grab you and out-muscle him.
Because even when Iron Man had the Hulkbuster armor, he never, like... he was going punch for punch, but he never knocked the Hulk down.
No.
That was Hulk. Hulk got KO'd for a minute there. That was crazy. And that character, Ebony Maw.
That dude scared me. Like when I saw the trailers, like, oh my god, this guy is something else.
But you just saw that visual of him. You saw him going, shh. When you hear him talk, he is creepy. When you see his powers, he's like, and I came across a story because I was trying to avoid like learning anything about Infinity War. So I saw 2 seconds and I saw something like dull villains. And I'm like, who the hell is this guy talking about?
Oh, no,
'Cause
all the villains were good.
Ebony Maw could have held a movie.
Yeah, and then like the assassin dudes.
Yeah, those villains are crazy.
Yeah,
and guess what? Too, they got deep with Thanos.
It turns out he has a backstory, which is great.
A backstory and like emotions, and we are gonna have to jump all over the place. The scope of this movie is huge, but I knew Gamora was a stepdaughter and would come into play. But usually in things like that, it's kind of brushed upon. But they made that Gamora thing like deep.
Yeah, no, like
that was crazy.
It was her past, and it was as much about Thanos as it was about any Avenger.
But they never touched on that. You know, in Guardians, they mentioned her being a stepdaughter, and he even appeared in Guardians, but they never got.
Well, it was never about him. This is the Avengers, and everybody tries to fight Thanos.
He goes to find that stone that she.
Oh yeah, the Soul Stone. That's the one.
When he goes to find the Soul Stone. And first of all, the Red Skull.
Straight out of left field.
That was out of left field, but it wasn't forced because it made sense because of the Red Skull's,
Yeah, like he was looking for it, and we kind of... We don't really know what happened to him. That was forever.
Yeah, you know what? I feel like he blew up somewhere with the stone, like the universe opened up, and so either he got prisoned... he's somehow involved. He's tied into that stone, which I thought it was a Tesseract. I thought that's the one what Captain America went down in. But
I do like that he was working at that time. He wasn't, just like chilling. Like, no, he's employed.
And you found out something too because we got his name wrong. We were trying to figure out who it was. We're like, oh yeah, duh, Hugo Weaving. But then you were like, no, it wasn't Hugo Weaving.
Yeah, it was a different actor that played him this time.
Really, Hugo Weaving couldn't show up for 2 lines, but I guess I didn't even notice. So whoever took over it was
Ross
fine.
Marquard.
I don't know what it was, but maybe it was so insignificant a part. But it was no big deal because, like I said, I didn't even know it wasn't Hugo Weaving till we found out just now before this recording.
Yeah. Oh, and that was a great scene because it really did show. Because when Thanos is talking to Gamora, like, yeah, no, this is his daughter.
Oh,
it's
when he turns around with the tears in his eyes, that was nuts.
And she's yelling at him the entire time, and like, oh, you're.
And she doesn't even realize. She at the same time, it's like, oh, he loves me. Oh, he's gonna kill me. Like that was nuts.
Just like I knew as soon as Red Skull said, "You need to sacrifice someone you love." He's like, run as fast as you can, and she didn't even recognize it. Like, what are you doing? That was
a sad emotional death. And I'll tell you something. Like the Guardians movies, like I like them and I watched them, but I've never got that attached to the characters. No reason in particular. Just I watched.
I like all the characters.
I do too, but I never thought of them. But because it's funny because you've known them for so long, it's touching you anyway.
Yeah,
and a lot of it attributes to you looked up. Like I think a lot of the Guardians had like a separate writing team to keep him like consistent with
like Drax. Drax was hilarious during this.
Yeah, he was hilarious and he was consistent. He was Drax and Rocket Raccoon was Rocket.
Yeah, no, he was. Like, wasn't it like in a big battle? Like, how much for the gun?
Yeah,
how much for your arm?
And he gives Thor a stolen eye.
Oh yeah,
poor Thor. Thor lost almost everything in the movie before in Ragnarok.
I feel like they didn't really use him this movie. Like he's just coming off the back of Ragnarok. People might be out of him, but I mean. What did he really do?
Well, he had that side mission, and it was important, and I think it's going to come into play.
Yeah, next movie, it's important.
But. Yeah, when it comes later to the end that he has the weapon, and granted it was a failure. Also, his big scene at the end, I mean, you and me were there. People were clapping when he came, like, especially because we were so used to Thor not having an hammer, and he was, I clapped. I was like, it was like, wow. He just came through and saved the day, and that little out of his, like I said, the Avengers were overwhelmed, so it did weave in nicely. And it was also cool because that was the same place, the Eye of the Dying Star where
Oh yeah, everything's been made. Like Mjolnir's made there. Like Loki's scepter's made there. The Infinity Gauntlet was made there.
yeah, and who's the actor? He's the guy from Game of Thrones.
Oh, Peter Dinklage.
So Peter Dinklage, all of a sudden, he's surprised playing the blacksmith, basically,
Yeah.
the Galaxy blacksmith, and he's been punished. But just it's kind of cool seeing what goes behind like Thor's hammer and everything. Like it was actually built somewhere.
And I love seeing this. Like everything makes sense because it makes you feel this is one universe. It's because in Ragnarok, Helena took over. That made Asgard stop protecting them, which allowed Thanos to come in and make the gauntlet. So it all weaves together. It's so great looking.
And also, Odin kind of needed to be out of the way too. Now that I'm thinking of it, because
Yeah.
Odin's would have to be involved, and it would be a tougher thing. And you can't even have like Odin's wisdom would be a tough, it would change the game. Like Odin being out makes it a little raise the stakes. So now I understand that. So let's get back to Earth for a second. So when it gets to Iron Man, first of all, Hulk, he lands in Doctor Strange's place. Now, Doctor Strange, pretty much most of what we know about Doctor Strange is his movie and the part he played in Thor. And that was important now because when you look at it, that's why Thor knew it was where to send the Hulk. Because Doctor Strange is on top of these things. It was like a smart move. I think it was Heimdall must have read Thor's mind or something like.
Or you're just like, go to Earth.
Nah, he went right for Doctor Strange's house. Now that I think about it, I think it makes sense that Thor would know, like, send him Doctor Strange to get a hold of everybody.
Doctor Strange has always been my favorite.
The beginning scenes on Earth with Iron Man and Spider-Man, love that stuff.
Oh yeah, like
love Spider-Man way he showed up and everything. It was just
the new suit.
Yeah, the new
that
suit.
gave you a little chill.
And the arms, because we've seen that new suit throughout the whole, like all the trailers and everything. We haven't seen the arms, and the thing is, the arms is from the comics. That's the Iron Spider suit. And originally, in the original comics for Civil War, or somewhere in that era, that's part of the suit that Iron Man gave to Spider-Man. Like it was called the Iron Spider. Had the arms come out of it. I'm like, oh, okay, they're not doing the arms. That's okay, still pretty cool. And he had the arms, and it was great. What a surprise that was.
In the beginning, when they were fighting Ebony Maw, like, oh my, that was an amazing fight. Doctor Strange and they're all fighting. Spider-Man's in on that action.
What a fight, action-packed. This thing was moving from the whole beginning. There was not a lot of downtime.
Yeah, that was an ambush immediately on, and they sent 2 other operatives to go take down
Vision.
Yeah, Vision.
Oh, and the stuff going on with Vision. That romance, like, unfolded kind of over, like, Age of Ultron. They just kind of met, and then, like, they were showing the blossoming of the romance in Civil War, which was smart, laid the groundwork. Because now at this point, when you get to them, you could buy it. You knew it was coming.
Vision isn't just a robot, apparently.
But you even knew, remember when he accidentally shot War Machine out of the sky? He goes, oh, I got distracted because he's trying to help Wanda and stuff. And so we knew that was coming, but it unfolded naturally. And that's the real achievement of this Marvel Cinematic Universe is not just they weave stuff together like Justice League was they just trying to force together something. But this thing it's really true. It's been in the making. They've been setting up all
the pieces are coming into place.
And even the stuff with Spider-Man and Iron Man that started in Civil War and that went into Spider-Man, the relationship between those two. And that was awesome because like he turned down that suit and I was like, well, how does he get the suit? Because he needed it to breathe in space. So
and how great was that feeling? Like you're an Avenger now.
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh my God,
he was he was right in there, and there was some foreshadowing. I'm going to come to play later because where Doctor Strange is like, listen, if it comes between protecting the stone and you two, the stone comes first. Now, the way it ended. And I have a theory about that. I'll tell you later when we get towards the end.
Which he did not do.
Yeah,
in the movie, he immediately sells out the stone to save Iron Man's life. Bad call, Doctor. See, the thing is, he was like meditating on it, on all these different outcomes.
That's part of the theory I have.
There's like 3 ways they could undo all of this. Really, in my mind.
Can I start with mine? Because you're going towards mine. You know what? It doesn't matter if this is that order because this is for people that have seen the movie. So we're just going to cover everything. But here's my theory. And I did not think about it. Because first, after the credits, they're shooting towards Captain Marvel, which we know is coming. They kind of threw a hint like there's something kind of
the symbol comes up.
But this is what I thought of when, and like I said, I'm glad we didn't do the show that night. And like I said, these thoughts have been brewing in my head, and something hit me. It was like, I remember the part where Doctor Strange said, "Listen, I've seen, like you said, I've seen, what do you say, like 14,000 or 1,400?
Yeah, 14,000 some odd futures. One of them we win.
Yeah, one of them we win. So, what did Doctor Strange change? So, what Doctor Strange changed was Iron Man, because Iron Man was going to die. And probably in a lot of those outcomes, Tony was going to fight Thanos to the death, the way the setup was. So, what I think is, in the one outcome that Doctor Strange saw where they won, Iron Man had something to do with it. Because he said, "Sorry, Tony, this is the only way." Not saying he does it himself, but he's got to play a big role in it. Plus, he is in outer space. Maybe he could tell everybody else, because I thought of that too. Yeah, Thanos wipes out half the heroes, but half the heroes are still there.
Yeah, but see, the thing is, Iron Man's in, like, Titan, which is around Jupiter. How is he going to get home?
He has...
Like Thor?
That's what I'm thinking.
How's Thor going to know where he at? See, that's like a little loose end I didn't really like. How are you getting home now?
That is going to be weird. There was Nebula, Gamora's sister, was with him.
I thought she got
remember,
her head ripped off.
No. Nebula was there. After everybody starts fading away, Nebula's still there because Nebula goes, "He did it." Remember?
Oh, yeah.
Because he did it. So Nebula's still there. And
yes, she could make a ship.
Even if she doesn't or whatever, but she knows her way around space a little more than Doctor Strange. Than Iron Man. Like, she knows her way around the block, so she might get them out of there. Or towards where Thanos is, or, Thor. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's groundwork laid for these guys to go hit Thanos again.
So I have about 2, maybe 3 theories on how this is going to be fixed. Mm-hmm. 1, Nebula and Iron Man are going to go back to Earth, get some other heroes, and try to convince Thanos to undo himself. Write himself out of history. That's what happened in a comic book, I think. He wrote himself out of history because he's like, I didn't like what happened.
Oh, really? See, I never... it's funny. I've read a lot of... the Infinity Gauntlet story... I didn't actually read that story. I read Infinity War, which was the sequel. Even though the movie's called Infinity War, it's based off Infinity Gauntlet. Yeah. That was a storyline. But no, I didn't know how that ended.
But there's also another way. Not people realize, but the Fantastic Four is also in this universe.
No, not yet.
But they're in the same universe, like they could.
No.
I thought they could.
No, they're Fox.
Oh, really, Fox? Great. Yeah, ruined my theory.
Well, that's why we're waiting on that sale to go through, because we'll get the X-Men and Fantastic Four if... Oh. Well, no, a little side note, if that sale would have went through, I was expecting to see them, but now it's too late in the game. Because of the universal shaping ramifications, the Reality Stone, they could have done it, because even when Spider-Man, when they made the deal with Sony, like Captain America was being filmed, and they told Tom Holland, go report to set. Like, they worked him in, towards the end, which makes sense because they could have easily filmed that Tony Stark scene in the apartment, and then, they hadn't started the fight scene. It's like, okay, hey, throw Spider-Man a fight. And it was fantastic.
But where I was going to go with the Fantastic Four, apparently Reed Richards is so smart. One of him figured out how to travel between realities, and they all joined forces, and they made the Council of Reeds. And they have 5 Infinity Gauntlets.
Oh.
Yeah, what if the smartest being in every universe worked together?
Well, they could still, and they've done this before, they could do that same kind of thing, but with somebody else.
The last theory is, I guess Captain Marvel will do something
Yeah.
I looked at her powers and her, her whole thing, and I don't see how she's going to help us.
I've looked at her too. Because I don't know much about her. I tried to read her up, and I know she has a history with Nick Fury.
Yeah.
Even in the comics, she's either old or from back in the past, but I don't know her powers well enough. And apparently a lot of that was just to kind of give us hope. But there's 2 things that say they're going to undo everything. As much as they're going to say okay, game changer, I think some people will remain dead. And the reason why I think some of this has got to be undone is because 2 things. And when the first couple guys, when Falcon went, and then but first of all, it was 2 people. The Black Panther, just because this movie was such a blockbuster success, it does not make sense. But the other thing really that it almost makes it fact is because Sony and Marvel just made this deal with Spider-Man.
Yeah,
where they make these movies together. So how are you going to say that to Sony? All right, we just killed Spider-Man. And Sony's like, no, you didn't.
Yeah.
We had a deal.
And see, that's the thing is like, I don't like that we have this knowledge that like,
Yeah.
but then I was thinking about that as like on the way out, I was like, well, how do the producer, are the people okay with this? Do the writers have this much power to end 12 possible movie series? Like there will be no more Black Panther, there will be no more Spider-Man.
Yeah.
They can't do that.
No. But I mean, if Marvel as a whole could decide, but not the Black Panther, because he was groundbreaking. I think he broke records coming out, and obviously not Spider-Man.
Yeah.
You don't go through all that trouble for a deal. But I've had a Venom theory, and now the Venom theory is going to change because
now that Spider-Man's dead, yeah,
well, here's what I thought, because I said maybe Spider-Man was going to get the black costume in Infinity War. And just that would be the reveal, because when the first Venom trailer came out, nobody saw Venom. So I was like, okay, maybe that's the reason why, because we're going to all get this big surprise in Infinity War. And now I've thought of something else, because it's a weird deal with Venom, because it's a Sony movie that's not involved with Marvel, but kind of involved with Marvel. We're not really sure yet. So maybe it's because I'm like, well, how does Venom, because Venom's supposed to have a white spider and swing around. So how do you explain that if he has nothing to do with Spider-Man? You know what I'm saying? Because
wasn't he just an alien?
The suit was an alien, but it was Spider-Man's black suit. So the suit would use its own material to shoot webs, and it learned a lot of the tricks from Spider-Man. So when it went to Eddie Brock, is why Eddie Brock does the same stuff as Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But in this movie, they're keeping Spider-Man out of the picture. And what I'm thinking is maybe somewhere towards the end of Venom, I'm going to throw this theory out there because the last one didn't come true, but maybe this one will come true. Maybe because Spider-Man died at some point during Venom's movie, when he decides to be a hero and realizes Spider-Man died, he thinks maybe he'll carry on the mantle and be a hero. I don't know. It's another theory.
I will be awful if that theory happens, because I like Tom Holland so much. He's a great actor.
No. I'm sure they're going to bring him back. I'm just saying that might be why Venom starts taking on the likenesses of Spider-Man. And then when Spider-Man reappears later, maybe they'll go toe-to-toe. That's what I'm saying. Like in Venom's timeline, maybe you'll see people, half the world disappear in that movie.
I do like how they really went all in on this. Like half the characters die. If this next movie sucks, that's the end. Like, imagine if this movie did awful. Imagine if they messed up on it and they just ended up killing all the characters.
Now when they first made the decisions that they were going to do this, they were talking about there was going to be an Infinity War Part 1 and Infinity War Part 2. Now, and then they said, we're not doing that. And now I'm thinking like, okay, good, because maybe that would have been a little too, but now I kind of hope there is an Infinity War Part 2.
Oh, there better be.
But or what are you going to do? You can't just solve this in the Captain Marvel movie, or you can't solve it in Ant-Man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I would feel like this movie,
this requires a lot of people.
Yeah, and maybe that was a fake out. But I almost feel like they're going to surprise us with a trailer for Infinity War Part 2 soon, because we can't have a year of no Marvel movies unless they're just going to do, the guys that are left, which is Ant-Man, do a Thor movie. Like, I don't know what the heck the plan is here, which is kind of an interesting place to be.
It's great. It's like, what the heck is going to happen now? Like, so many, I bet almost everyone that went on opening night to this movie will go to opening night on the next one. Or like really close on.
Oh yeah, it's like, well, what the heck happened? Like,
yeah, because like you just make every single person go nuts.
And another thing that makes me think like this has got to be resolved soon is because I know this from the original Spider-Man deal, and it comes into play because the original Spider-Man deal with Sony was if Sony didn't make a Spider-Man movie every few years, they lost the rights. So that's why when Spider-Man 3 was kind of like, not as great, they jumped into Amazing Spider-Man. So we have to make a Spider-Man movie. So we got the new Spider-Man, then Amazing Spider-Man 2. And because that one wasn't well received.
Yeah, that explains a lot. They made a movie because they needed to.
Yeah, but because even Amazing Spider-Man 2 was just not well received. They never recaptured the magic after Spider-Man 2. It just was kind of flatlined. So it was a perfect timing for this Marvel Spider-Man deal. That being said, I got a feeling the new deal is along those lines. And what I'm saying is somewhere in the deal, they probably got to make a Spider-Man movie in a couple of years.
Well, a Spider-Man movie or a movie with a big part of Spider-Man?
No, I would think of a Spider-Man movie that Sony gets a chunk of the change. That's what I'm saying. It's got to be a Sony Marvel. Like the Homecoming was Sony and Marvel together. And Sony... I liked it. Well,
yeah, no, I said it was great. I'm sorry.
Oh, I thought you were shaking your head. No, yeah, I liked it too.
No, that's why.
Yeah, Homecoming was great, and definitely the best since. 2 is probably still the best, the Doc Ock one, but really the best Spider-Man that we've seen.
I think we're getting down to like personal taste on that. Like we can do another podcast argument.
Yeah, we could, but. It's been great seeing Spider-Man be great again. Mm-hmm. Spider-Man is great. Let's make Spider-Man great again.
Yeah, the new suit. The new suit. The references. Like, have you seen Predator?
And the way Spider-Man was in this movie, he's a young, dopey kid, but he was being the hero.
Yeah.
He's saving people. And like I said, he's in outer space. We would have never got Spider-Man in outer space if he was doing his own movies.
Yeah.
Like, how are they going to do that with the original trilogy? This is the only way to make that happen.
Yeah.
And he was like, I love this Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I love him. He's awesome. Yeah. And that's why it was so tough. All the deaths and the fading. Watching this Spider-Man die was very tough.
Oh, yeah. And they knew it. They dragged it out a little bit. Like,
oh, my God. He's hugging Tony Stark.
Yeah, crying. He's like...
And did you notice the reaction from everybody was kind of the same reaction as the audience? There wasn't a lot of crying and screaming. Everybody was like,
oh, yeah.
Holy shit, he did it. Like, everybody was in shock. Captain America was in shock. Iron Man was just like, did not know what to say when he was looking at Peter.
There were so many points when he, like, could have missed, but he did it. Like... when they could have taken his glove off.
Yeah.
Barely missed that. When Thor almost cut his head off. Now you missed.
Oh, yeah, mistakes. And it was just,
And just like, I broke the stone, you can't do it. No, what are you talking about? And just bends time.
And I even understood his reaction to Gamora's death. Yeah, it's a dumb mistake, but you're just at that second finding out, she died. No, that was realistic. What I'm saying is that's realistic and believable, too.
Yeah.
Emotion is always going to beat the brain.
I mean, I will say that I wish he didn't do it.
Oh, yeah.
Or at least, lop off his head. Like, you have 5 people there. You can figure it out.
Well, I think strength-wise, he was too tough. I think it was getting the glove off. It was... They were
or
so
just
close.
Take the stones out.
And that comes down again to the intensity of the movie. Because they almost got him a couple times.
Almost every scene is life and death for the universe. Oh. And it didn't feel like this is the fate of the universe. Like, but it didn't like oversell it, but you still felt that weight around everything. Because Thanos is such a great character. He carries that weight with him. Like, he will end everything.
I think if they would have went any further with that abrupt ending... they would have ruined it. I think it just ending, everybody in shock, and it just going to black because we're all like, what? And the movie says directed by the Russo brothers, and who, by the way, the Russo brothers have been on fire since Winter Soldier and then Civil War. And the real thing was because they kind of just handled a lot of characters in those movies. But what I liked is, because I was watching Age of Ultron just to kind of refresh and catch back up.
Yeah.
And I think Joss Whedon's look and his feel, Joss Whedon, who the director of Avengers and Avengers 2.
Okay.
I think he had more of a brighter, colorful look.
Yeah.
I like these directors. It's
got some grit to it.
It's got some grit to it, and it's got some realism, but because he did it, Captain America is more down-to-earth character. And granted, he brought in more characters in Civil War, but now even his handling of Thor and the outer space stuff, handling of those characters, like every character was consistent.
Yeah, everyone had a time to shine. Nothing felt forced. Just great movie. Like, characters were on point. Nothing anyone didn't make sense. Everyone were the characters.
Oh, now I want to ask you something because, like, I've seen all of them now. You haven't seen Black Panther.
No, I have not.
So, did you feel like with Black Panther you had missed something, or did you feel like...
I feel like I understood it. Like,
you understood enough.
They were in Wakanda. Wakanda is a very scientifically advanced country that tries to hide it from the rest of the world. Mm-hmm. They're a very like kind of nation state type thing. There's different tribes and villages, but they're very scientifically advanced, which felt kind of weird because felt almost steampunk to me, but that's different.
But you never felt like, I don't understand what's happening
now.
No,
everything was...
And that's an achievement of the movie, because not everybody's going to see every single movie.
Yeah.
So that's why I was curious
people
to ask
aren't
you.
going to watch... Like, there's so many of them out there. That's where That's why people don't watch all of them. There's just so many of them.
Yeah, and I can't really speak for anything else. I mean, granted, even Spider-Man, I mean, there was no reference to anything with Spider-Man, so you could have never seen, you couldn't even know there was a new Spider-Man and still just enjoy Spider-Man in that movie.
Well, yeah. I mean, and that's how good everyone was in their character. Thor was still Thor. I mean, Thor was different. Mm-hmm. If someone didn't watch Ragnarok, it might have been a bit confusing. Like, where's his hammer? Why does he have short hair or whatever? But it wouldn't be like, this isn't Thor.
Yeah.
Like, everyone still felt on brand.
And he actually kind of, I think the most character refresh was Thor, because Thor had come along, when he was telling Guardians his story, which that was probably important to get that quick little, my father died, my sister died, because if you hadn't seen Ragnarok, you got to know, like, how come Odin's not getting involved with this?
Oh, yeah.
So that is, maybe if anybody needed a quick, like, how did we get here, was probably Thor, like, he lost his hammer, because that was important to the story. But yeah, everything, what a heavy fucking movie.
Yeah, it was
because what I thought was, okay, the way Avengers was, a lot of the first Avengers movie it's still better than Justice League. It was definitely better than Justice League. Yeah. But a lot of the Avengers movie, and I love the Avengers, I watched it like 10 times, but a lot of it looking back was the novelty of everybody getting together. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was done great. It worked, but it was really about getting them together. But this movie, so I thought this movie was going to be the novelty of getting all these heroes together, and it was not.
Nope.
This was a heavy, freaking crazy movie.
And the story was great. Like, it worked so well. Like, how, like, in order to get to some people, you have to know someone that knows them. Like, Doctor Strange needs to talk to Captain America to find Vision. So Tony Stark has a cell phone that gave him in some movie. Like, that's where all the plot lines connect. Like, it's great seeing it.
Speaking of Vision, so Scarlet Witch blows up Vision, and then Thanos brings it back together and kills him again. Like,
yeah, I kind of hate this all because, like, he has the time stone, nothing matters.
Oh, yeah. But we all knew Vision was. I think everybody was kind of sure that Vision was going to die. But, like, geez, what a brutal. He died like twice in a row, and what Thanos did to him was
such a bittersweet ending.
It looked better when he blew up. I was like, oh God, his real ending was so.
Yeah,
and then his body's like the only body there. Everybody else disappears, and Vision's dead body just sitting in front of everybody. That was nuts.
Wait a second, can they bring him back? Remember what they were saying? If they could reattach some of these neurons and stuff. What if they bring Vision back just as a person? The doctor's still. I bet she's still there.
Yeah, I don't remember her fading.
Yeah, well, they didn't show her fading, but again, like, they didn't show it, but it could have.
Yeah, but I remember her saying we got to be very careful, but you never know. It could be possible.
Yeah, I wouldn't count that during the next one. Like, what if, we work on Vision? Like,
I don't think. That's why I'm wondering about, like, the Loki stuff, because would one of the resolutions be, let's wind the clock back so far, but you know what I mean? Like, somebody used the time jam, but then it's like, well, I feel like there's still got to be some lasting.
Yeah, no, Loki will stay dead, I feel.
Yeah, I feel there's got to be some. It can't be that this movie never happened. There's got to be some consequences, or else then this movie loses all its power.
I'm just wondering, like, how are they gonna fix this? It's just it leaves me craving,
Yeah, well, even like the Doctor Strange theory I have, it tells you something, but it has no idea.
It's like
no idea.
He knew what the answer is, but he didn't say it, which made it so much more suspenseful. Did you
see Guardians of the Galaxy 2?
Yes, I did.
Okay, do you remember when what was that alien race, the gold one? I think it was the Kree. It wasn't.
Yeah, wherever they were.
Yeah. At the end of the movie, or was it the after credit scene? She goes, "I'm going to call him Adam." She was making something. I don't know if you remember the end of the credit scene.
I thought that was like a Black Adam thing.
No, Adam Warlock.
Oh,
now,
yeah.
In the comics, Adam Warlock he has his own team. It's called the Infinity something. What it is after the whole Infinity Gauntlet thing goes down. Yeah, if you want to, but after the whole Infinity War thing goes down, or Gauntlet goes down, Adam Warlock gets the Gauntlet, and he has this team. And every member of the team has one gem, because they decided that the gems are too powerful to be together. So since they foreshadowed the coming of Adam Warlock, who's, I believe, is another powerful being, that might come into play too. That might be another stone that's set between him and what's going on with Captain Marvel. Like, there might need to be some bigger characters to come into play, because even despite the stuff that goes on Earth, it's to universal ramifications. This thing's happening in the universe. There's going to be other beings brought into play that are going to want a piece of Thanos, I would think.
Or what's his name? Big one, Galactus.
Galactus is Fantastic Four. He's out of the picture too, and he was dubbed the name in Fantastic
Really,
Four.
they claimed it. I know they claimed Silver Surfer, but I don't remember him mentioning that much.
Yeah. From the little, I briefly remember Fantastic Four.
But I mean, Galactus couldn't fight Thanos. Like, he would just instantly lose. He has the glove.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. All that stuff's really taken out of play. And even if they made the sale soon, Marvel can't wait on that to make its plans.
Yeah. I really feel like they got to convince him, or they got to, like, time travel, or they have to use, like, every, like, Adam Warlock or and talk to, like, gods or something.
Yeah, some bigger beings got to come into the picture, which could actually happen because even though this is a big scale thing, it only took place on these like 3 or 4 different scenes we're going back and forth to.
Yeah.
So there's got to be some powerful beings. We'll even think of, a kind of powerful Ego, the living planet, even though he died. We know there's some other big wigs out there.
Yeah.
So that could come into play into the future too. I just don't see... but like I said, if this Fox sale goes through and they get Fantastic Four and X-Men, they might work it in. This might be an opportunity with the universe being the way it is, but I think I think they've even said Kevin Feige, who's the executive producer, he's in charge of all the Marvel stuff, the movies going on, and he said, like, look, we're just going full steam ahead. We can't wait on this X-Men thing. It's a paraphrase.
Yeah.
He said, we haven't made any plans with the X-Men because the sale hasn't gone through. So they have their plan already.
I bet out there somewhere the Russo brothers are working on this thing. It's like, I wish I could just, fly on the wall and just read whatever they have. I want to know.
Yeah.
It's like, what do we do now? Like, we wait patiently. This is going to be an agonizing. How long until the next one? A year?
I have no idea because they said Avengers 4 in 2 years, but now the whole thing might be a fake out because everybody was saying, well, Avengers 4 is going to be something totally different. And me and Kevin were like, well, maybe Avengers 4 is the fallout because like of whoever's left. And we didn't know the wipe the universe thing was going to happen. We just knew like somebody was probably going to die.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Everyone had an idea that someone was going to die. Not actually half of everyone.
Yeah.
Like not exactly perfectly half of the universe.
Yeah. So at this point, it's all bets are off because is it the next Avengers movie? Is Infinity War Part 2 going to come sooner than we thought? Because if that was the plan, they've had all those guys on set. Mm-hmm. They could have filmed the whole thing.
Yeah.
The whole second thing could be filmed and done already.
Yeah. Because we don't know. We do not know.
And also there's been, I overheard somebody saying something in the theater when we were walking out, and somebody was like, yeah, what happened to that footage of the Hulk running in place? In the trailers, there's a part where Captain America, Black Widow, Hulk, and some other heroes, but mainly Hulk. And Hulk never came back out in the whole movie, and it's expensive to make these polished effects. So there's 2 theories, because I've heard things that they made a bunch of fake endings.
Yeah, these people are very good at what they do. Obviously, like, we thought one person was going to die. Like, that was a rumor that was spread around. Completely wrong. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't put it past them to make a ton of fake trailers and to make tons of fake endings.
Yeah, maybe that wouldn't be that too hard, just to make the Hulk run in place. Why would that be so hard to do?
or
throw us off.
If time travel stuff happens, they say, there we go, Hulk's back in it.
That's what I was thinking. Like, maybe that's actually clipped from...
Yeah.
I mean, there's a time... This stuff is not out of play because there's a time stone and a reality stone. So we know anything's possible here.
Infinite power is on someone's hand.
Yeah, so anything's possible. How do they get that off or undo things? Maybe it's your theory that Thanos does it himself.
Yeah, because think about, in the end credit scene, we saw Thanos sitting down in a rice field. Remember when he's like in some hills and he's just sitting down resting?
Yeah, he wasn't back on his planet.
He might have been. It was like, he could be in Asia. He could be on his home planet that he restored. Where is he? Because
wait a minute. Was there an ocean?
I don't think so.
Because what if... I don't know. I got to watch it again. I could be wrong. We'll find out if I'm right or wrong. Because what if... Remember when Odin said to Thor, remember this place?
Yeah.
What if that's where Thanos is? And he was kind of telling Thor...
Remember...
That's where he's at or something.
Well, if I was Thanos, I'd be rebuilding my home planet. I feel like that's kind of where he's at. Just like what was it, Titan?
Yeah, Yeah, Titan was his home planet. Yeah.
Yeah, he said he killed half his people on Titan.
No, his planet killed itself because of their overpopulation.
I thought he said he committed genocide against his own people.
Did he do it? I can't remember.
I thought he did.
I thought it was because of
That's what Gamora was getting mad at him for.
No, Gamora. He did that to Gamora's planet.
Oh yeah.
But Titan, he was showing him how great Titan was, and he said he knew it was coming, that they were going to run out of resources. They did, and that's why he moved forward with his plan. Because I think he wanted to do it to Titan, and they thought it was crazy, which obviously it is.
Yeah. Which, I mean, like, honestly, there was a part during the movie, like, I understand why he's doing all of this. Yeah. It's like, I wouldn't be... If the superheroes lived, if Doctor Strange and Spider-Man lived, I would be completely fine with the ending and leaving.
Yeah.
Like, I just really like these characters. Like, I mean, I didn't see Black Panther, but I bet if I did, I'd be way more attached to him.
Well, not even the attachment; it's the financial success of the movie. But like the first, and you know what? They did it kind of smart because the first two guys they took out were like, you know, Winter Soldier, who I like him, but it was like okay, and even Falcon. It's like okay, like it was like okay, they're knocking them out because those guys don't have their own movies. I kind of get it. Like I was expecting to see War Machine go. Because
you know, I didn't even really keep track of who died and who didn't.
Well, I'm saying I love War Machine, but I was like, okay, he's a spareable one.
Yeah,
he's not carrying a movie. But like I said, as soon as Black Panther, I was like in my head when I saw Black Panther, I was like, okay, there's a way out of this. And
they're not making a War Machine movie.
And people that understand things behind the scenes, like you know, like me telling you, people with the Spider-Man knowledge, are gonna know. There's no way. There's no way they're killing Spider-Man. There's no way.
But now this is another theory. When Doctor Strange first came out, I was researching him because I really liked him. And apparently he used to be like a lot stronger than he was in this form. Mm-hmm. Like, and apparently in one of the comics, Thanos got the Infinity Gauntlet and Doctor Strange could fight him.
Really?
He fought him. He lost, but he could still fight him. So there might be a way to manipulate some reality in there, and that might be an option. That's not off the table. But then again, how do you deal with this character? It's like Superman again. This character can do almost anything now.
Yeah, but that's possible. The way, like, even when Doctor Strange was going to see all the possible outcomes, he could easily went back in time and set something into motion. You know what I mean? He could whisper in somebody else's ear or something. You know, like somebody important.
Wait a second. Remember during the fight with Thanos, where everyone's like holding him down and they're getting inside his mind? They're trying to pull the gauntlet off him?
Yes.
Doctor Strange wasn't in that. He wasn't even there. What did he do during that fight? Well, he was there during the fight, but not when he was pinned down. There was a good few minutes when he was just off screen.
Yeah. He could have time traveled. He could have done something.
And he did have the time stone.
Yeah. I got a feeling Doctor Strange has got a part to play in whatever's happening.
Yeah.
Even if he died, whatever. He either sent some events in motion, or he
did something during that time.
Or he knows something, and that's why he spared Iron Man.
Like, you don't control the time stone and not use it.
I still believe it was important for Iron Man to live. I think that's what Doctor Strange knew. Because Doctor Strange said in the beginning, I'm not... if it comes between the stone and you and even the kid, the stone comes first. And at the end, he's like, "Oh, spare Iron Man for the stone."
After he meditated on every op.
Why would you do that when you're killing everybody? And like, why would you?
Yeah, he's a very smart character. That's again why I like.
Yeah, why would you give him the stone for a guy you just met and don't even like that much? Like, you know what I'm saying? It just
I didn't like his. Didn't Iron Man get stabbed a bunch and got really beat in that fight?
I guess he must have got stabbed to a point where either Thanos was going to bring the sword up for the final blow or something. But whatever it is, Doctor Strange said, stop.
Yeah, and then he, like, okay, here you go. But, like, again, I just don't see...
It might have something to do with that armor he has. That
I still see the idea of him just dying on that planet. Just like, I bled out.
No.
It's not going to happen, but I could see it.
I think that Extremis armor, and I got to research it more, but I think the Extremis armor is actually in Tony Stark. Or something. It's some nanotechnology.
Oh, yeah, the hoodie. That was a great hoodie.
Yeah, but it's like something that's in his body or some weird thing. So maybe that was it. Maybe that just healed the wound or something.
Yeah.
But we didn't cover a lot of the ground heroes, and not to take anything away from them, because Captain America was great in this movie.
Yeah.
But he kind of just...
He was a soldier?
He did his thing. he was Captain America. And he had his impact, and he did his Captain. And I don't want to take away from what he did because it was, I don't want to get into Star Wars too much. But like, remember when we did the Star Wars show? Remember how I said Finn kind of just coasted through?
Yeah,
and didn't really. I don't want to say that about Captain America.
Well, he kind of did.
He was just leading the team.
Yeah,
he was out of his element.
He was boots on the ground. He was stopping them.
I was curious, and we never did. We never got that resolution of from Civil War, how the reuniting of Captain America and Iron Man, and maybe even now with the stakes even higher.
They never interacted in this movie.
No, never interacted. Remember in the beginning, he's like, "I can't call Cap," and then
and
Hulk
then
just picks up the phone and calls him up. Bruce. I think Iron Man could drop a lot of the past with what's at stake now.
Oh yeah, it's a whole new ball game now.
That's going to be the key to bringing those two together, probably.
This is a whole new world. Whole new reality controlled by Thanos.
Even the way the ending, and it was kind of a cliffhanger or whatever, I don't think it was as along the lines of Matrix 2, where it just ended and it was like to be continued. Like, I felt as much as I was make the jokes about staring at the ceiling and just like emotionally wiped out and drained from that movie, I feel like the movie was a standalone solid movie. The movie's over. They lost.
Yeah, no.
Granted, that'll change.
You did not feel like they lost at the end, like oh my god, what are they going to do? It didn't feel hopeless, but you still had that sense of losing.
But you don't feel like you were gypped.
No.
Like, what the heck? Like Matrix 2 was like to be continued. You know what I'm saying? I was like,
yeah.
I felt like the movie ended. Even though the story hasn't ended, I think the movie had an end. Not the best end.
Yeah. I wouldn't recommend anyone watch this movie like standalone. Like, you need to know who some of these people are and what they do.
I think it helps, but like you said, Black Panther.
That's one of them. I've seen every other one.
I think it would enhance. It would definitely enhance it.
Like, what if you didn't see Civil War? Like, imagine just cutting out Civil War. Like, why aren't they talking to each other? What's happening to S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Well, Tony Stark covered that. He said the Avengers broke up. We're not talking anymore. So even if you didn't know the deeper part, you know. So, like I said, once again, they told you what you needed to know.
Yeah.
But granted, and almost like Star Wars, like Episode 1, Episode 2, when you actually go back and look at the real story behind things, they become interesting. Mm-hmm. So even somebody that watched Infinity War maybe would probably be like, you know what? I need to go see this one. I need to go see that one.
Yeah.
So I think what I'm trying to say in a roundabout way was this movie was definitely a success. Mm-hmm. And this movie was definitely not like, hey, great, all the heroes. Hooray. You know what I'm saying? It was like, no, this was a fantastic, awesome, game-changing movie. Like I said, I was staring at the ceiling for, definitely gives a lot to think about, and it gives pretty much everybody that's seen it a lot to think about, and hopefully, we added to that, but really want to see, like I said, the movie felt like it had an ending, but I don't think the story had an ending. Looking forward to see it down the road. What do you say, Paul? Like,
I'm getting my red string and my photos and trying to make a giant web in the basement right now. I need to figure this out.
Put some photos and make a little map on the wall.
Yeah, Thanos is in the center and Doctor Strange.
Well, we're going to see how it plays out. Paul, thanks again. So great having you on the show, buddy.
All right, thanks for inviting me.